Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Representative Chrissy Houlihan's Tax Preparation Town Hall. This is her 71st Town Hall since joining Congress. My name is Sarah, and I work for Chrissy in our Washington, D.C. office. During tonight's telephone town hall, Chrissy will introduce 3 guest speakers to talk about preparing for the upcoming tax season and available resources. If you'd like to ask a question of Chrissy or of any of our guests, please press *3 and you'll be connected to one of my colleagues in Westchester, Reading, or Washington, D.C. I also see a number of folks are tuning in through our website. So as you submit your questions there, please include your first and last name and the town you're from. For the host herself, Chrissy Houlihan is an Air Force veteran, an engineer, a serial entrepreneur, an educator, and a nonprofit leader. Chrissy represents Pennsylvania's 6th Congressional District, which encompasses Chester County and Southern Berks County. She serves on the House Armed Services Committee and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. She is a recipient of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Abraham Lincoln's Leadership for America Award, which recognizes members who demonstrate the bipartisan leadership and constructive governing necessary to move our country forward. And the Congressional Management Foundation's 2022 Democracy Award for Best Constituent Services in Congress. If you're interested in learning more about Chrissy, head to houlihan.house.gov, which is her website. Our agenda this evening includes opening remarks from Chrissy, an introduction to our panelists. Chrissy will then ask our panelists questions that we hear the most on this topic, and then after we will move to our live question and answer period, including online questions. As a reminder, click *3 to ask any questions you may have. Lastly, if you have a specific IRS case with our office, please refrain from asking on this call. Additionally, Chrissy will not be answering any questions unrelated to tax preparation tonight. You can contact our office at houlihan.house.gov or call one of our offices for help with a non-tax related question. With that, I'm proud to introduce our U.S. Representative, Chrissy Houlihan.
Thank you, Sarah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Chrissy.
Oh, awesome. Great. Welcome, everybody, as Sarah said, to our 71st Town Hall. I really very much appreciate you sharing a portion of your evening with us and with our guests. And I really thank you for your interest in this Town Hall, which is about tax preparation. As you know, during the last 4 or so years, I've had the honor of serving our community as our representative down in Washington, D.C., and we've consistently held town halls, basically an average of maybe 1 or more a month. And I've held more town halls than any other member, Republican or Democrat, of our Pennsylvania delegation. Some of you may wonder why I do this. And really the answer is that I really believe in being accessible and being transparent to our community, and believe in hearing from you in forums such as this. And I believe that this is one of the best ways that we can collectively serve our community. We tend to do these town halls both in combination of in person as well as by telephone. We tend to have these town halls focused on one specific area to make sure that we can drill down deeply. And we also tend to make these town halls with experts, people who can help us answer our questions. Our purpose this evening is to provide you with some available resources to assist with filing your tax returns this year. This year, the tax filing deadline is Tuesday, April 18th, which is 28 days from now. So don't worry, you still have time to file your return before the deadline. During the tax filing season of 2020, which is a few years ago, 1 month after the COVID pandemic hit our community and the country hard, my office casework with IRS increased very dramatically. To give you some perspective on this increase, pre-COVID, our office averaged 50 or so open cases at a time. That's where we're advocating on behalf of a constituent with a specific federal agency like the IRS during a given week. So 50 on average a few years ago. 2 years into the pandemic, it was not unusual for our office to have more than 300 open cases with the IRS at a time. That's an increase, of course, of 6 times the normal amount. The situation with the IRS backlog is improving, slowly but surely. We now have an average of less than 150 open cases with the IRS, which is still significantly higher than it was pre-COVID. So I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about some of the misconceptions that many may have about that component of the Inflation Reduction Act, also called the IRA, that helps address the issue with our IRS. This legislation, the IRA, was signed into law last year by President Biden, and it was a key component of the IRS to hire more staff for the IRS. I want to emphasize that the vast majority of these new members are not being hired to conduct audits, nor is anyone knocking on anyone's doors to interrogate you at home. These public servants will be hired to answer phones, to update computer systems, to return correspondence, and to process tax returns. So in other words, they're being hired to make sure that we get answers when people call and to clear the backlog and to make the IRS run more efficiently. So keep that in mind, that when the IRS is more efficient, you'll get your tax return that much faster, and that's definitely a good thing indeed for all of us. So while we're on the subject of federal agency operations and deadlines, some of you have also reached out to our offices in recent weeks regarding travel plans. It's really wonderful that we are in a better place than 3 years ago, and students and families and seniors and business workers are beginning to travel all over the globe again. So if you're planning international travel, please also make sure to check the expiration date of your passport and to verify the travel requirements of your destination very much ahead of time, because passports require several months to renew or receive for the very first time. So we're asking that you also please prepare accordingly. So if you find that your passport is expired and your date of travel is right around the corner, please don't delay and contact our office immediately for assistance. And one final note about federal agencies, while we're on the subject of the IRS as well as a passport agency, we'll talk briefly about the United States Post Office as well. Passports and tax returns frequently depend on processing from the post office. And like the IRS, the USPS has had its share of workforce issues and outdated and insufficient systems as well. So last summer, I participated in a congressional committee hearing in Philadelphia, and that hearing resulted in an audit of systems for several USPS locations in our area. We've received the results of that audit, where issues were identified, and the USPS is working to address those issues, including increasing their staff to process and deliver mail faster. So with that, I'll conclude my opening remarks by addressing those who are tuning in. For those of you guys who are streaming through our website, please include your first name and your last name when you submit your question and where you live, so we can call you back in the event that we aren't able to get to your answer to your question tonight. And lastly, for those who are dialed in on the phone and with us tonight, if you have a question, please press *3, and this will enter you into the queue so a member of my team can assist you. And before we begin with those questions, I want to first introduce our panelists and members to members of our community. This evening, we are really grateful to be joined by Edwina Johnson, the Community Impact Assistant at the United Way of Chester County, by Mr. Bill Pierce, the Executive Director of the Brandywine Valley Active Aging, or BVAA, and Par Cardell, the Site Coordinator for Chester County's VITA program, or VITA program. So I want to thank you all three very much for being with us this evening and to answering questions from our community. And so as Sarah mentioned, before we begin with those audience questions, I do have a couple of questions for each of you. As she mentioned, we tend to get the same questions over and over again, so we typically start our conversations with those common questions. My first question for you, Edwina, many in our community are very familiar with the work of the United Way, but they may not be familiar with the VITA program, which is again VITA. What does VITA stand for, and what is the United Way doing in providing this service to communities across our country?
Hi, everyone. So VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And the reason why that's so important for people in our community and why United Ways across the country do it is because a big part of what every United Way does is providing financial stability. And a way that we do that with the VITA program is by providing assistance for those who may not be able to afford to have somebody do their taxes for them, which can cost upwards of $300, $400, $500 for some people. And if you're on a fixed income, that doesn't really fit into your budget. It also serves people who aren't as tax savvy and are not as confident in doing the taxes themselves, because if they do it wrong, they run the risk of having a high tax penalty, which again, if you're on a fixed income, is not really helpful for your budget. And we also do it in the hopes of helping these low-income individuals find tax credits that they may not be able to find on their own or they don't know how to apply for. So for the past 20 years, we've been offering this service to everybody in Chester County as well as a location in Montgomery County.
Thank you, Edwina. I appreciate that explanation. And my next question is for you, Bill. Over the last several years or so, a lot of our seniors are certainly struggling with a lot of different issues. One of the issues that our office frequently hears about from the senior community in particular is this frustration with the IRS and with difficulties with tax returns, particularly frustrating for those who are filing with a conventional paper return. It's my understanding that BVAA has partnered with AARP to assist seniors with their tax returns. And can you please just tell us a little bit of background information about that partnership?
Yes, thank you, Chrissy, for the question, and thank you for the invitation to be here this evening. Excuse me. So I am with Brandywine Valley Active Aging, which operates senior centers in the city of Coatesville and the borough of Downingtown, along with 4 other senior centers here in Chester County and also senior centers in the surrounding counties. And for a long time, and I say a long time because I've actually been working with the Chester County Senior Centers for more than 20 years, the senior centers have partnered with the AARP for their volunteer income tax assistance program. Similar to VITA, the preparers are volunteers. They go through extensive tax training, and very similarly to VITA as well, intended for folks with low or fixed incomes, filing simple returns and trying to make the process less complicated, more affordable, identifying opportunities for people to increase their refund, and also for the age cohort that we're concerned with, helping people to understand those who may not need to file a tax return any longer, helping them to understand why that may be, and helping them to feel comfortable with the idea that after many years they are not, it is not necessary for them to file all of their tax returns. So the partnership has been long existing, long standing. Each year, the centers will help thousands of people in their respective counties with the partnership with AARP to file their tax returns. And we are in the throes of the current filing season, and everything seems to be going well. So looking forward to helping a number of folks again this year to get those taxes filed.
Thanks. That's really very, very helpful. And we'll make sure before the end of the conversation that we provide everybody information about where they can contact each one of you all if they have any opportunity to access your assistance. And so for those who are on the line, if you want to grab a pen or a pencil to make sure that you can write that down, please get ready for that. And for those of us who are part of the panel, make sure that we all have our information, websites, and that sort of thing ready for at some point in the conversation for us to share that. My last question before we go on to those questions that are being submitted either online or by our phone panel is for Paul. And so, Paul, you also work with the United Way's VITA program. So if somebody does need assistance from VITA, where should they go? And are there any certain qualifications or restrictions that people should be aware of to be able to be eligible for getting help from the program from somebody like yourself?
Okay. Thank you, Christy, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I am very glad to be able to speak with you today about how VITA can help you get your taxes prepared this year and also in the future. We've been around, as Edwina said, about 20 years, and we're here every year to help you get your taxes done. So VITA in the Chester County, Montgomery County area is administered by Life Transforming Ministries, which is a United Way agency based in Coatesville, and they provide a number of important services to the community, including overseeing the VITA program every year. At VITA, we are a 100% volunteer organization, but we are 100% trained and certified by the IRS to both prepare your taxes as well as certified to file your taxes with the IRS on your behalf. We are here to help everyone who wants to get their taxes prepared. We have no restrictions on who we serve, and there is absolutely no cost for the services we provide. And our IRS certification covers virtually every tax situation, whether you are working, retired, self-employed, or have investment income. So we can help you. I can't remember the last time in the 6 years I've worked here where we've turned someone away because we couldn't do their taxes. So we definitely can help you get yours done. We have 8 sites or 9 sites in the area to serve you. As Edwina said, 8 locations in Chester County. That includes Coatesville, Downingtown, Exton, Landenberg, Parksburg, Phoenixville, Pottstown, Royersford, and Westchester. And the Pottstown location is the one that Edwina mentioned in Montgomery County. To learn the specific locations and hours of our sites when we operate, you can call our VITA office, and the phone number, which I'm sure Chrissy's team will provide after the call, is 610-380-9099. There's a voice recognition system there that will direct you to a site if you want to learn the hours or to call and speak to someone at that site. In addition, you can visit our website for more information, and the website is www.chestercountypretaxes.com. That has all the information about the hours and specific addresses of the sites, as well as information on what you should bring to the site to get your taxes done. You do not need an appointment. You can come in anytime that our site is operational that is convenient for you. And we have both daytime and nighttime hours at most of our sites. Again, you can see that on the website or by calling the phone number to find out where that is. If you do decide to have us prepare your taxes, please be sure to bring your photo ID and Social Security card or Social Security statement for yourselves and for any dependents that you will claim, along with all of your tax documents like your W-2s if you're working, your Social Security statements, your retirement account statements, and any specific cost information you want to bring if you want to claim deductions like your real estate bills, mortgage interest statement, those type of documents. So bring all of your documents with you. We may not use them all, but it's better that you have them with you and we can go through that, see what we need, rather than be missing something when you get there. So bring everything you have. We'll help you sort through it, and we'll let you know what we need and what ones we don't need. So we do hope you will take advantage of the services we offer to help you get your taxes completed quickly and accurately. And that means that the faster you get it done, and obviously accurately, means that your refunds will be in the mail or in your bank account a lot quicker. So we hope to see you at one of our offices sometime over the next 28 days.
Awesome. And we will repeat those phone numbers and websites and things like that throughout the call. And we are going to be turning back over to Sarah to field some of the questions that people have. A reminder that if you have any questions and you are a dial-in person, hit *3 to be put into the queue to ask questions live, and if not, you can ask them through the portal that you're accessing the town hall through as well. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, who's going to go ahead and get some of those questions going.
Thanks so much, Chrissy, and thanks so much, Paul, and our other guests. Our first caller is Doris from Coatesville. So Doris, I'm going to unmute you, and once I do so, just confirm that you're connected and you can hear us.
I am connected. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hi, Doris, yeah. Yes.
Hi.
Direct your question to whatever guest you think seems best fit to answer it. Thank you.
Well, I'll ask my question. I was hospitalized and then after that medically confined until March 9th. So I am late. First of all, I'm a senior, 89, and I do my own taxes still. But this time, I'm thinking I might not make it for the April 15th deadline because of my confinement. And so I wanted to know, how do I file for an extension of time to do my taxes? Because what's online says it's only for people who are out of the country. I want to know, is there an alternative?
Thank you so much for asking the question. And I think it feels like maybe Paul might be best suited to answer that question. Paul, do you have an idea of how to do that?
Well, first off, I can tell you that anyone is qualified to file an extension to submit their taxes, and it's an automatic extension that goes until August 15th. So they actually give you an additional 4 months. You do not have to have been out of the country or any other restrictions. You can automatically request an extension, and it will be approved. However, what can't be extended is if you owe the IRS money, and I'll be honest with you, I would be surprised if an 89-year-old woman owed the IRS money. If you do owe the IRS money, you would need to pay that at whatever tax. You would need to do like estimated taxes if you thought you owed money, and that would need to be paid by April 18th. Otherwise, you could possibly have a penalty for a late payment of taxes. But you absolutely can file an extension. There's no restriction that you have to have some reason for it. It's called an automatic extension to file your taxes. Again, you get to August 15th to submit it. But the only question is if you do owe money, and like I said, the chances are you in your particular case probably don't. But if you did, you may need to pay ahead of time or pay a small penalty for being late.
And Paul, our caller brings up kind of an interesting point, and you sound like a pistol over there in Coatesville. But if we have other people who, for whatever reason, aren't able to make it physically to an office, is there any accommodation that your program has for people who can't do that?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Are you talking about for people that can't make it in?
Right. If there is, for some reason, is there a way that they can work through, I guess, a web conference or Zoom or something like that to work with your group? And the answer may be no. I'm just curious if there's some accommodation for people who are physically unable to make it to one of the offices.
Well, the website, the www. Chester County Free Taxes, does have software on there for you to be able to file your taxes online yourself. And also within there, you could also find how to do the extension. If an individual needs help like that, and they can call our number in Coatesville, we'll hook them up with someone that could help them walk that through on the phone if necessary. But so it don't have to come in the office again, but you'd have to be able to navigate the website to get the extension. But I think at the end of the day, we try to help everyone we can. We do help a lot of seniors for sure, and we'll do everything we can to help that person. If we got to get them on the phone with someone and just take the information from them over the phone and file the extension, we can do that for them. And then after the season, we do offer a couple days. And again, after the season, we're up until, I believe, we do once in May, once in June, once in July, where we take appointments and people can come in. So if that particular caller needs some additional time before she's able to get up and about, she can make an appointment at the office in Coatesville, and then she can come in and sit down, and we can do her taxes for her after the season. Again, excellent. I'd be surprised if she owes money, but if she does, she may have a small penalty, but it's not. It won't be a problem.
Thank you.
Can I get the link and the phone number?
Yep, we'll announce the link and the phone number again for sure, and we'll make sure to get your information too to follow up with you and make sure that you have all that information that you need. And thank you for the great question.
Thank you.
Sarah, any more questions?
Yes, and thank you so much for that, Doris. Just as a reminder, VITA's phone number is 610-380-9099, and that website is www.chestercountyfreetaxes.com. We'll keep repeating that, but just if you wanted to write that down. And if you also need to contact our office for help with a specific case, you can also contact us at 610-883-5050. So our next question comes from someone who is listening in online on our website, and it is Joseph from Phoenixville. His question is, how long are the appointments at VITA/AARP tax prep locations? Will my tax return be completed on-site in one visit? And I think this may also be best to be answered by Paul, but anyone is able to take it on.
This is Paul. I can answer that if you'd like. So the process, we changed the process we have to do taxes as a result of the pandemic a couple of years ago, and we've reduced the amount of contact that people have to get their taxes done. What we do is when you want to get your taxes done, you'll come into one of the offices, you'll give us all of your documents. We scan everything into the computer that's in the system, and then your tax return is done by someone else in another location, and then you're called when the tax return's done, and you come back in and sign, or you can sign electronically for your tax return. So it's not done in one visit, though you would have to make only one visit to the office to drop off your taxes, and then you don't need to go back again. But again, it wouldn't be done in like an hour. We do make appointments, as I mentioned, at the end after the season's over that are face-to-face, but those are, as you can imagine, limited, during the number of appointments we have after the season, but that's an option if you prefer to get it done while you sit there.
Thank you.
I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Sarah, any other questions?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Paul. Next, we have a question from Richard, who also asked online on our online forum, and his question is that he declared bankruptcy in 2022, and his debts were legally discharged by a judge of the Eastern District Court. He didn't receive any 1099-C forms from any creditors. He was wondering if he fills out, apologies, he said he did receive a form, and he was asking if he fills out the form and what would he put on it to exclude his discharged debts. I can repeat the question just because it's a little more specific if anyone was wondering, but that was a question from Richard from our online platform to submit questions.
So what I would ask Richard is, if it's okay, maybe we'll get some of your information from you, and I feel as though this could be a combination of answers. One is it could be something that Paul and Vida can answer or help with because it's a very unique and special situation. The other is that if for whatever reason you've already kind of taken this down a path with the IRS, this also has the hallmark of maybe being something that we as an office can help you with. And the way that would work, and this is, I think, helpful for other people who are on the line with other specific questions about their own situation, is whenever anybody calls our office and is in need of support with any federal agency, the IRS, the Veterans Administration, Passport, any number of those USPS organizations, what we'll do is we'll take your information down and you will sign authorization for us to help manage your case so that we can speak, with and for you on your behalf. And so for you, Richard, this might be one of those situations where we might need to follow up with you and create one of those, authorization forms. But it also may be something that the VITA organization through United Way can also help with. So I'll go ahead and give our number again for you. In our Westchester office, in case that feels like it's the right answer. Our number is 610-883-5050, and then I'll ask and see if any of our panelists have anything specifically to add. We don't want to get too much in the weeds with your specific case because we want to make sure we're respectful of your privacy. But is there anything in particular that you might want to reflect on, perhaps Paul or the other folks on the line?
This is Paul. If the caller did receive the form or documents from the agency that did cancel their debt, that is an entry that's done in the tax software. So if he brings in what he has, we can include that in his tax return.
Thank you.
But the form will have the information we need to be able to input it into the tax software.
Terrific. Any other questions, Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Paul. Our next question is from Rachel in Reading, and it is asked to Edwina, and she was wondering Is it safe to file taxes online? Some people, get a little worried about that. She wanted to know, and this was asked on our form online. Edwina, if you have any guidance on that.
Yes, I do believe that it is safe personally because I file my taxes online every year. You do have that security of identifying yourself via your Social Security number, your birthday, and also if you go through the IRS, they have actually revamped their whole security system where I believe, like, for certain circumstances, they use facial recognition. I do believe that one year when I first set up an IRS account, they had me, scan my finger on my cell phone. So there are a bunch of security protocols that they go through to make sure that your taxes are only available to you and the IRS. If you're using third-party tax sites, I do know that that is something that is basically like a username password situation. So if you can keep that secure, I have yet to see any sort of data breach through any sort of third-party tax site. I certainly haven't heard any through the VITA tax site if you use the online service that they provide. So I am 100% confident that filing your taxes online, especially through VITA, is completely safe and secure.
Thank you. Thanks, Edwina. I think that what we're going to do with what remains of our time is we're going to start with Bill. We're going to ask each of our panelists effectively if there's any other specific advice that they might have for our seniors, in particular things that you all hear frequently as questions. I'll start with you, Bill.
Yes, I would just encourage folks to make sure that they are scheduling appointments for the AARP tax preparation program. Appointments are required. They are available at the 6 Chester County Senior Centers, which are located in Coatesville, Downingtown, Kennett Square, Oxford, Phoenixville, and Westchester, and as well for those who are listening in perhaps Berks and other surrounding counties, I would encourage them to look up the senior centers that are local to them. The AARP does require appointments to have those tax preparations completed, and to answer the follow-up to the earlier question about whether those preparations are done on-site and in one visit, that is determined by location. So similar to other programs, AARP is following different COVID protocols depending on what their volunteers are most comfortable with. So some sites you are having your preparation completed while you sit there, other sites you are dropping off your information and returning to complete the filing. And then also for folks who may be of age, they should certainly be inquiring during their appointment if it is necessary for them to be filing taxes ongoing, because I think many folks are surprised to learn that they don't necessarily have to do that. If there's any questions specific to folks here in Chester County, our sites from Brandywine Valley Active Aging are happy to help. We can be reached at 610-383-6900, and if someone's not in our area of Coatesville or Downingtown, we would be happy to help them get connected with the senior center that's more local to them. So thank you again, Chrissy, for having me here this evening.
Of course. Could you repeat that number again for us all, so that we can make sure that we get it down? 610-383
6900.
6900. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And for our other two panelists, would you have any other tips or tricks or things that you have consistently heard that you'd like to help our seniors with it as they prepare their taxes or prepare to help get their taxes prepared?
This is Edwina. It's not necessarily a trick or a tip, but earlier this year for the tax season, our office sent out flyers advertising the VITA program. but for some reason they don't have the website or the phone number on them. They have a QR code. So if you don't know what that is or you don't know how to open it up, I've had a couple of instances this year where people have stopped by my office or gave me a call to ask about what it is they received in the mail, or they need to know their location or their phone number. I am happy to provide that for you. If you want to call my office to find out which VITA site is closest to you, that phone number is 610-429-9400. And again, I would just be happy to provide you with the location closest to you. A good tip that I have would also be, because I've gotten a couple of phone calls on this, you don't know that you don't qualify to have your taxes done unless you call. And like Paul said, I believe it was that he has yet to turn away anybody for VITA. So there's no harm in calling. And again, most of the time you will qualify to have your taxes done.
Yeah, and that's been something definitely that I've learned throughout this call, is that it's a little bit like my father always says, don't negotiate with yourself. Don't decide that somebody that you're not qualified, ask, and usually you can receive. So I think that's really very helpful too. Paul, any last reflections on the conversation?
Okay. Well, I just want to reiterate what was just said. We definitely are here to serve everyone. We don't turn people away, and we'll do everything we can to help them get their taxes done. Sometimes, they may need to go back to their employer or someone, get a different W-2 or something corrected, but we'll definitely hold their file open and work with them to make sure that it gets completed, prior to the deadline. The suggestion I would have is two things. One is right now we are in very good shape in terms of completing taxes quickly. I worked at our Westchester site last night, and we had most of the people that came in to pick up their taxes, drop them off the prior Monday night. So they were in there Monday night last week for about a half an hour, getting their documents scanned in, and within a week they were able to come back in and sign and pick up their taxes and have them filed that night. So we're in very good shape to get them completed. So my suggestion or tips and tricks is please come in as soon as possible. We've got a lot of volunteers working right now. It's kind of height of the season, so we can get your taxes done for you very quickly. And again, you'll get your refund back a lot faster the sooner you get it submitted. As the deadline approaches, as you can imagine, things start to back up because there's a lot of people that want to try to get in the last minute, and that not only delays getting your taxes done, also delays the IRS turning around your tax return and getting your refund out. So the suggestion is to get in as soon as you can. We've got lots of people that are ready, willing, and able to help you get your taxes done. And the other thing is, as I mentioned before, please make sure that you bring your documents with you. Bring everything you have. If we don't need it, we're going to hand you everything back anyway after we scan it in. But if we don't need it, we'll give it back to you. But we'd rather have you have it with you and thus not need it than you need it and not have it, which means you need to go back home and get it, or come back another night with it. So please bring all your tax documents with you, whether you think you need it or not. We'll sort through it with you. We won't just tell you to do it. We'll sit at the table with you and pick out the ones we need, give you back the ones we don't. So we make sure that we have all the documents we need to get your taxes done accurately and quickly. So that's been my two suggestions. Get in now and bring everything with you so we can help you get it done quickly.
Really good advice. And then the last piece of advice that I'd like to kind of get your input on is, we are frequently contacted with casework from particularly seniors, but everybody is vulnerable to this, which are scams of one form or another, where people will receive text messages or emails that ask and require information in order to process, as an example, taxes or release, bank information. We caution people very firmly to make sure that you don't respond to errant text or random email that doesn't feel like it has anything to do with anything you've already done, and that you always question that and don't reply to the email or to the text, but rather, pick up the phone and call, a number or the actual IRS, or call our office as an example. Do you guys also have any similar advice to avoid scams and information related to taxes?
I've got a few. Well, first, one thing that I think is very important, the IRS will never call you. The IRS will never send you an email. They are old-fashioned. Any sort of communication is done through physical mail. And also a good thing that I've also had to tell my mother this, who used our VITA program and was very happy with the results. But she got an email that said, from a tax site that she didn't use, that said, log in and sign here to receive your tax refund. And it didn't make sense. She didn't know who it was from. If you don't know, like was said earlier, I encourage you to call VITA back, or whoever did your taxes from the VITA site. If you have any questions for them, they can certainly answer that. They'll let you know that, hey, that's not from us. Also, what spam or scammers like to do, they like to give a sense of urgency. Like, you have a $10,000 tax return waiting, but you can't get it if you don't sign within the next 24 hours, or if you don't provide me your Social Security within the next 10 minutes. There's always a sense of urgency for scammers and spam to try and get your information as quickly as possible, so that they make you panic, and they make you give them your information. So by the time you catch on that it's a scam, it's too late. Also, email addresses, take note of the email address. Usually scam or spam will have at 1234556.com or zoom.org or something that you don't recognize. So that's just the tip for seniors or anybody who's just not familiar with how the IRS functions. I don't know if Bill and Paul have other tips and tricks as well.
I would just echo what Edwina has already shared. Thank you.
Of course. Cool. Thank you, guys. Let me just double check with Sarah that we're good with questions at this point in time.
Yes, we are good with questions. We really, really appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten from our three awesome guests. At this time, I just want to remind everyone of how you can contact our guests and how you can contact our office as well. So if people want to get a pen and paper, the phone number for our Westchester office is 610-883-5050. And then if you're interested in contacting VITA, the phone number is 610-380-9759, or
Sarah? Sarah, you're kind of cutting out. So what I'll do, if you all can hear me well, is I'll go ahead and continue on. Is that okay?
Oh, thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. It just sounds like your connection is a little bit bad. I just want to thank Bill and Edwina and Paul as well. I'll go ahead and try and do those numbers too, so everybody can hear them once more. For the AIRP, we have 610-383-6900. Again, that's for Bill, for any questions there. For Edwina and the United Way, we have 610-429-9400. For Paul and VITA, we have 610-380-9099. And again, for our number, for casework that relates to IRS or anything with the federal government, we have 610-883-5050. And then as a reminder, the tax deadline is Tuesday, the 18th of April. And the website I'll give you is www.chestercountyfreetaxes.com, as in no cost, freetaxes.com. If that's okay, then since Sarah's having some connection issues, I'll go ahead and wrap us up and say goodnight to everyone. I want to thank our panelists again for their time and their expertise and for their service to our community and helping people with their taxes. And I want to thank folks who have joined us in the various ways through our town hall. I always love being here and listening to questions and love serving as a resource to our community. That's why we do this. I remain committed to making sure that we do this as frequently as we possibly are and that we're providing real concrete services as well. This is just one of the ways we're able to share our resources. There's lots of things that we need to make sure that we're tackling in addition to filing taxes. So if you know a friend or family who may not know who to turn to, but they need assistance with their taxes or with passports or the mail or anything that we've been able to share about tonight, please always feel free to head them our way. Our website is houlihan.house.gov. And that's spelled a little bit unorthodox in an unorthodox manner. Houlihan is HOULAHAN.house.gov. Again, Houlihan, HOULAHAN.house.gov. So I hope those of you guys who were able to join us feel better equipped to be able to process and file your taxes. But please also know that if for whatever reason you have any questions, to give any of us a call. Thanks once again to Edwina and to Bill and to Paul for your insights and for all of your work. And for those of you who joined us and who will listen to this later, please be well, and I hope to see you around our community soon. Thank you.